Hello and welcome to Mr. Thompson's Math Tutorials. Today we're going to be looking at subtracting decimals. So just like when we add decimals, the first thing we want to do is get some sort of estimate about what the answer should approximately be. So I'm going to make a range estimation. Firstly, I'm going to round this 5 3/10 to a 6, and then I'm going to subtract from it. I'm going to round this 2 2/10 to a 3. That's telling me that on the high end, my answer should be roughly 3. And on the low end, I'm going to make this a 5 minus 2. On the low end, it should also be roughly 3. So, in either case, my answer should be roughly around 3. Okay, so let's solve this. What we're going to do is we are going to make sure that our decimals are lined up. So I'm going to rewrite this in columns, and I'm going to make sure, once again, that my decimals are well lined up, including in the difference down here in the answer. So all of these decimals should be lined up. And then I'm just going to go ahead and subtract. So 3 minus 2 is 1, and 5 minus 2 is 3. And I can see that my answer is 3 1/10, which is roughly 3. So it makes sense. It's within, it's pretty close to my estimate. All right, let's look down at a different example. So in this example, I'm going to again do sort of a range. So on the high end here, I'm going to make this 17 minus 5. So that tells me that this should be basically roughly around 12 as a high end there. And again, I see when I do my low end, I'm getting roughly the same thing. That on the low end, I'm getting around 12. So that tells me that my answer should be roughly 12. Okay, I'm going to line up my decimals and subtract. So here we go, making sure all my decimals are well lined up, all my places are nicely lined up, and in the difference, I have my decimal. Okay, so I'm going to start to subtract. Now, I need to fill in empty spaces with a 0, and I'll tell you, in red, this is what the most common error that I see amongst students. They'll line up their decimals perfectly, just like this, and then they'll begin to subtract. And they'll notice that, oh, well, there's nothing here above my 3, so that means that I must just be rewriting my 3. And then they go, okay, 6 minus 0 is 6, and then 6 minus 4 is 2, 12. And actually, it's pretty close to my estimate, so it must be right. Sorry, it's not. You must fill in empty places with zeros. So this needs to be filled in with a 0, this hundredths place. And now I can subtract. Now I can see that I'm trying to take away 3 from 0, but really I'm trying to take away 3 hundredths from 60 hundredths. So I need to borrow. So I'm going to make that a 5, and I'm going to make this a 10. This is now 10 hundredths, and I can take away my 3 hundredths from my 10 hundredths. 10 hundredths minus 3 hundredths is 7 hundredths. And then my 5 tenths minus 0 tenths is 5. My 6 minus 4 is 2, and then I get a 1. And you can see again that this is really close to my estimate, but in this case it's correct. Be careful of that. Do not forget to do this. It's a really important step. All right, here we go. Last one. Again, I'm going to try and do an estimate. It's not as easy as when we have whole numbers, but I'm really subtracting 6 hundredths, around 6 hundredths from 8 hundredths. So my answer should be around 2 hundredths. So somewhere around 2 hundredths. And just like before, I'm going to make sure that I line up all my decimals. So I'm including in the difference. Okay, I have a 0 and an 8, so that's my 8 hundredths. And then I have a 0, 6, and a 1. That's my 61 thousandths. Now, I need to fill in this empty space right here. Again, that is one of the most important steps you can do. Do not forget to do that. And then I can start to subtract. And this is really 80 hundredths minus 61 hundredths. So it's kind of similar to 80 minus 61. Okay, it's not really that different. So I'm just going to subtract. Now I can't take away 1 from 0, so I need to borrow again. I'm going to make this into a 7. I'm going to make this into a 10. 10 minus 1 is 9. 7 minus 6 is 1, and then I have a 0. And I can see that this is actually pretty close to my estimate of 2 hundredths. This is 19 thousandths, which is pretty close, because this would actually be 20 thousandths, and this is 19 thousandths. It's pretty close to my estimate. Thank you for watching.